Indianapolis, 1993. A quiet city wrapped in cold spring air, unaware that one night would break a family and leave detectives chasing a ghost for more than 30 years. She was only 19. Carmen Van Huss. Smart, kind, a girl with plans bigger than the world she lived in. And on this night, she was just coming home from visiting her grandmother, unaware her final steps were being watched. Someone followed her, someone she thought she could trust. Neighbors later said they heard laughter, then fear, then nothing at all. By morning, a patrol unit rolled into the complex. Not for a crime report, just a noise complaint. No one realized what had happened behind that thin apartment door. Everything changed when Carmen's father unlocked that door. The scene inside would haunt this city for decades and leave investigators staring at evidence they couldn't understand. But here's the twist. This wasn't just another cold case. One detective refused to let Carmen disappear into the archives. What he uncovered, a single drop of DNA hidden in plain sight, would shatter everything the city believed for 31 years. And the real question is, if the truth was sitting in that file the entire time, how did everyone miss it? Stay with me. Because the answer rewrites the whole case. Indianapolis, March 1993. The city sits under a thin veil of cold spring air, the kind that makes streetlights look sharper and shadows feel heavier. Carmen Van Huss drives toward her apartment after visiting her grandmother, unaware that someone is watching her every move. This moment, quiet and ordinary, becomes the line between her life and the mystery that will swallow the next 3 decades. What happens inside that small apartment doesn't just shatter a family, it exposes a failure in the system. And the real question is, why the truth stayed buried for 31 years. Carmen Van Huss wasn't the kind of girl who drifted through life. At 19, she bounced college classes with a part-time job and still found time to help her grandmother every week. She had a sharp laugh, a steady heart, and a stubbornness that made people believe she'd go far. Friends say she was the one who showed up, no matter how small the moment. But what made Carmen truly stand out was the quiet confidence she carried, the kind that suggested she was just getting started. And that's what makes her story hurt even more. A future this bright shouldn't end in silence. On the night of March 23rd, Carmen left Methodist Hospital after sitting with her grandmother. Security cameras caught her walking through the lobby, calm, focused, and ready to get home. She grabbed a quick meal on the way, drove back to Turtle Creek North, and parked under the same dim light she used every night. Neighbors later told police they heard her laughing with a man as they walked toward her apartment. No one could say if she knew him or if he slipped into her orbit at the last moment. What we do know is this. Within 2 hours, the tone in that apartment shifted from friendly to terrified. Someone crossed the line, and Carmen's world collapsed behind a locked door no one dared open until morning. The next morning, everything seemed routine until Carmen's father arrived, worried she hadn't returned his calls. When he unlocked her apartment, the truth landed like a punch. The room was wrecked. Furniture shoved aside, wrappers and bottles left abandoned. A chaos that told its own story. And there, in the center of that storm, was his daughter lifeless, hurt in ways no parents should ever see. Detectives later said the scene looked personal, as if rage had swallowed the attacker whole. But the most haunting detail wasn't the violence. It was the silence afterward. A building full of people, yet no one called for help. From the moment officers arrived, Carmen's apartment became a meticulous crime scene. Every overturned chair, every discarded wrapper, every faint fingerprint was logged. Detectives dusted for prints, cataloged fibers, and combed through her personal items. Early leads pointed to neighbors, acquaintances, even former boyfriends, but nothing fit. Surveillance cameras were sparse, witnesses were few. The case, meant to move fast, stalled under the weight of missing evidence and miscommunications. Yet, in every officer's notes, Carmen's life was etched between the lines. Yes, but also a young woman whose story demanded justice. The files began to stack, and with each passing month, the hope of a resolution grew dimmer. By 1994, what started as an urgent investigation had slowed to a cold, silent file. For decades, the case lingered on a shelf, untouched by breakthroughs. Suspects were questioned repeatedly, alibis rechecked, but each lead fizzled into nothing. A neighbor stip in 1996 sent detectives chasing shadows. Another in 2002 suggested someone who had already been cleared. DNA technology existed, but was not advanced enough to solve the puzzle. Files were revisited year after year, but time seemed to erode both evidence and hope. Investigators called it a perfect storm of lost chances. Key witnesses moved away. Memories faded, and the trail went cold. Carmen's family never stopped asking questions, never stopped hoping. Detectives who worked the case moved on, retired, or passed the baton. Yet the apartment, the scene, and the unanswered screams remained. Every report, every photograph, and every fingerprint collected formed a mosaic of frustration, a reminder that justice was elusive, yet demanded. The story of Carmen Van Huss became more than a case. It became a testament to persistence, to earthbreak, and to the haunting weight of questions left unanswered. It took one detective's refusal to give up to breathe life back into the cold case. Working off duty, without resources or support, he reviewed every file, every photo, every scrap of evidence. The DNA collected in 1993, once thought inconclusive, became his obsession. He pushed for reanalysis with the latest technology, fighting bureaucracy and skepticism at every turn. Months of lobbying labs and revisiting old reports finally led to a breakthrough, a sample that could be tested with precision never before possible. This detective's obsession wasn't just professional, it was personal. He understood that somewhere, someone carried the weight of Carmen's absence, and he refused to let her story fade. By 2018, modern forensic techniques were ready to uncover what 30 years of silence had hidden. And the first real glimmer of hope appeared, hinting that the invisible threads of evidence might finally lead to the truth hiding in plain sight. After decades of silence, the case took an unexpected turn. Genetic genealogy, a technique barely imaginable in 1993, finally breathed life into the evidence. Investigators uploaded the cold case DNA into specialized databases, cross-referencing distant relatives, family trees, and historical records. Slowly, the threads began to connect. Names emerged. Patterns formed. Suddenly, the abstract puzzle became human, tangible, and shockingly close. A suspect once invisible in the eyes of the law now appeared within reach. This was the turning point. Carmen's story, once trapped in dusty files and fading memories, surged forward with renewed urgency. And yet, the discovery raised more questions than answers. Who had the audacity to commit such a crime? And why had they escaped justice for so long? The chase was far from over. But now the detectives had a lifeline through 31 years of darkness. By August 2024, Dana Jermaine Shepard was identified as the suspect. Investigators coordinated a careful operation, tracking him to Missouri. Every step was precise, calculated. Decades of patience finally paid off. The arrest shocked communities and families alike, revealing that justice could arrive even after 31 years. Officers executed the warrant with professionalism, collecting evidence, confirming DNA, and ensuring no mistakes could undo the decades-long pursuit. The city of Indianapolis watched as the case moved from cold file to courtroom-ready investigation. For Carmen's family, the arrest was both relief and heartbreak. Justice delayed, but not denied. The story that had haunted a city for generations finally had a face, and the detectives' relentless pursuit proved that obsession, skill, and dedication can uncover even the deepest secrets. The courtroom became a place of closure, but also a mirror reflecting 31 years of grief. Carmen's family finally saw the man responsible face accountability. News outlets covered the story nationwide, reminding the public that cold cases are never truly forgotten. Investigators shared insights about the meticulous work, the advancements in DNA technology, and the patience required to untangle decades-old crimes. Yet, the resolution did not erase the trauma or restore lost time. It honored Carmen's life and her family's relentless hope. The detective who refused to surrender the case became a symbol of dedication, showing that justice is often a marathon, not a sprint. And the city itself, once haunted by unanswered questions, could finally breathe, knowing that even in the darkest shadows, truth has a way of surfacing. Carmen's story stands as a testament. Justice may be delayed, but perseverance can illuminate the past, change lives, and ensure that no victim is truly forgotten.